been around for the last probably 30 years or more. But what we've seen in the last couple of years is really the advent of generative AI, and now we're thinking about agents and how agents can augment the work that we do. And so much of that is critical as people start to think about how it will affect their jobs. And I think back into the 80s and 90s when computers and the internet first came around, that adjusted how we worked and when we worked and the tools that we used every day. And you didn't have just someone who was a word processing specialist or a typist in a field. It became part of what everyone did. And I think what we're seeing now with AI is that AI will seep into little bits of everything that we're doing, to the point that it's going to require that we all elevate our skill set and have a bit more knowledge about AI and the proper ways to use it, the impacts that it can have on our careers, and also the improper ways to use it as well.
Well, can you give me sort of the fifth grade explanation of what AI is? I mean, everyone says AI, but I mean, it could be as complicated or uncomplicated. So give me the uncomplicated definition.
Sure. Yeah. So artificial intelligence is really deals with training computers how to, and I'm going to kind of use air quotes, how to think about how to solve problems.
Right. But the problem is a hurricane's in the Gulf. AI can be used using all the data of the past to say, oh, it's coming to Houston, while the forecasters are saying, no, it's going to go to Florida. And then AI comes in and says, no, you're not looking at the things I'm looking at, and I'm smarter than you. It's going to Houston. Correct?
Yeah, it could, yes. And so it can really help with analyzing large sets of data, doing more predictive modeling, and to do it faster than what a human can do. Which is really powerful, because if the more notice you can give, especially in your example of weather, the more notice you can give to someone to say, hey, it's time to evacuate, or you need to think about sheltering, or whatever your suggestion is, that having more data, more accurate data, becomes really, really important for being better at your job, whatever your job happens to be.
Right.
So, Jacob, what will students be learning in this program? Because I remember growing up, for a long time, everything was about coding. There was a time where everybody wanted to learn how to code and make websites and learn how to do that. When we're looking at, practical AI and intelligent automation program, what type of classes will students be taking?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things that, as we started to survey the industry, one of the things that we started to see is that there were so many universities who were focused in on how do we enhance the computer side of AI? How do we get really technical? How do we build new predictive models? How do we build new generative AI models? Very, very technical things. But what we saw is that there weren't a lot of universities who were focused in on how do we equip everybody else to be better consumers of AI information and to leverage that to complete their work. And so this practical AI and intelligent automation are really intended to focus in on that. How can the consumer use AI in their work in a lot of different ways across a lot of different industries? So they will learn about machine learning. They will learn about artificial intelligence. They will learn about proper usage of artificial intelligence. One of the things that we think is fun to talk about is artificial intelligence can hallucinate. So you have to know when to say, I don't know that I believe that what artificial intelligence is telling me today. And so in these programs, people will learn how to, not necessarily how to build those things themselves, from a very technical standpoint, but really how to use the tools that are provided by companies like ChatGPT and OpenAI, by Microsoft.
Kind of like sounds kind of like a statistics course where we can teach you how to survey and do statistics, but you also have to know how to interpret the data you get from it.
Yes, a lot of similarities there. you asked the question about coding earlier, and so you can liken this also to, we're not teaching you how to code, but we are teaching you how to use a computer.
Yeah.
It's that sort of difference. We want you to know how to use these tools and to use them well in your job.
If I'm not mistaken, you do have one of the courses is AI Ethics and Society. And so if there is this issue, how should we be looking at AI ethically and its impact on society?
Sure. Yeah. So there are so many ways that, once we have a tool like artificial intelligence, it's easy to, I don't know if you all have used, some of the generative AI tools that have come about, whether those are Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude. There are a lot of great tools in the industry, but one of the things that we need to think about is, what are we asking AI to do for us? Are we asking it to completely do our jobs? I think in some ways it's not quite ready for that, but it can help us do some things. So one of the things, let me give you a couple of concrete examples if I can. We've talked with a few people who say, I use AI to help us write job descriptions. Mm-hmm. Well, that's an interesting thing. So if I say, well, what should a computer technician do? Or help me develop a job description for an HR professional. Well, it can tell me a lot of skill sets and features and capabilities that a person should have in that role. But I still need to go through with that and with a critical eye say, is this really right for that position? Is it right for my industry? Is it right for my company? And so part of that is about being a good consumer of AI, about ethics, about how we're applying those tools to the work that we do. So those kinds of courses will really help in that way.
It's a
so
brave new world
it is
out there.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll continue this conversation another time. Thanks for being here.
Yes, Jacob Chandler is the Associate Vice President for the Division of Strategic Enrollment.
Grand afternoon. I'm making some errands this morning before these big Houston streets get crowded. I do everything in the morning. Everybody's at work, and I'm always listening to talk radio for things like AI and what's happening. The big shift. And as you heard from the talk radio, AI is going to be replacing millions and millions of jobs, from engineers to HR to even doctors to transportation. Everything. AI is here. It's here, y'all, and it's in full swing. As far as AI, do I like AI? I love AI myself. I love it myself. The thing is, you have to be more forward thinking in the 2025 and on out when it comes to AI and how we live our lives. So, stay abreast on it. The world's changing because of AI.